All right, so this is Kenny Santos out of Toronto, Canada for KennySantos.com. Do you want to know how to forgive someone when you can't or you just should not forget? And ultimately, I've talked about forgiveness before. I've actually described it as the hidden ingredient to success. If you are holding a grudge, then you're just not living up to your potential because you're spending too much time and energy into being angry towards someone versus being creative and productive. So if there is someone that you need to forgive in your life, or there's a group of people or a number of people that you need to forgive in your life, then you should do so for you. Don't worry about whether they deserve it or not. Don't worry about that. All right. That's not about that. What it's about you and you living to your fullest potential. But what do you do how do you forgive someone when you can't forget? They've wronged you so badly, or you just shouldn't forget, because if you forget, they just might, you know, disappoint you again. All right. And so we're going to talk about exactly how that would work. There's really two things that you need to remember is that number one is that if you forgive someone, it does not mean that you trust them again. So if someone stole from you and you say, you forgive them, that does not mean you open your house to them so that they could steal from you again. No, right? Forgiveness and trust, there are two separate issues. All you're doing by forgiving them is that you're deciding, you know what? You're deciding not to be angry at them anymore. You're deciding not to hold that grudge for them anymore, because ultimately that's what serves you. There's no literature anywhere, including in the Bible, that when someone says that for someone need to be forgiven, that they need to deserve it, and that they need to ask for it, and that they need to think that they're even wrong. All right, none of that stuff. All right, it's all about your side. All right, and number two, I've already kind of hinted to this, this whole entire video. Forgiveness is not for them. It's not for the person that you're forgiving. It's not like this grand big thing that you're bestowing on someone, and you're saying, "Oh, I'm so high and mighty and I'm bestowing this forgiveness on someone." No, that's not what this is about. This is all about you. It's the gift of freedom. It's a gift of emotional and spiritual freedom. You know, and while you're at it, when you're forgiving that person, you forgive yourself too, because you might think to yourself, well, how could I have been so foolish? I'll never be that foolish again, especially with that person. I'll never let them do X, Y, and Z again. Remember, doesn't mean you trust them again from the number one, right? It just means that you have forgiven them, that you decide not to be angry, that you decide to be free from this emotion, and these spiritual bonds. So you forgive yourself and you forgive the person. And again, got this from a podcast. It's Marie Forleo's podcast, and she actually put out a quote with this, and she said this. She says, "Forgiveness isn't a weakness; it's the ultimate sign of courage and strength." So something to think about there. Forgiveness isn't a weakness; it's the ultimate sign of courage and strength. Remember these two things. Number one, forgiveness does not mean you trust them, and number two, forgiveness is not for them; it is for you. Remember those two things when you should forgive someone, or when you want to forgive someone, but you just can't forget about that bad deed they did. You can't forget, or you just shouldn't forget, because if you forgot, then they'll just cross you again. So I trust you got some great value out of this. Again, I invite you to like, subscribe, share, comment. It's a super easy way, and it's a simple way for you to support my blog and do so for free. And if you want to see more videos like this, go over to my blog. It's KennySantos.com. You can even put your name and email in and get an awesome audio and grow in this business. And remember this, every day, multiple times a day, the universe sends us miracles. We only got to do two things about that. We got to recognize those miracles. And of course, my favorite part, we get to accept those miracles. All right, take care and create a great day.